Now, ever since Bob Iger took over Chapek as the new Disney CEO, since the board members ruled out Chapek and had nobody else to turn to, they had to get Iger back. And since then, we have been seeing quite a bit of change over at Disney and Lucasfilm, as Iger now wants to focus on Star Wars movies again, rather than just strictly shows, and how he wants to use the shows more or less of a side or a supplement type of thing for the overall cinematic universe of the Star Wars universe at hand. Now, we already know that John, George, and Dave are doing everything that they can to bring Legends back and to make it very much valuable to the fans. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video if you guys would like to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, what's even all the more exciting is exactly what John and Dave have in store for the Skywalkers. Now, we already know that they have an abundance of Luke Skywalker material coming our way with Mando Season 4, of course, other Star Wars shows in the mix, such as Star Wars Mandalore, and a lot of other things on the horizon that will be announced in the coming months at Star Wars Celebration, which, by the way, takes place over in London. Now, that brings us to the next big thing. A lot of Star Wars fans have always been raving about Anakin Skywalker in the Kenobi series. A lot of fans loved Hayden coming back. They loved his performance, myself included. I just felt that the de-aging technology was really lacking in the Kenobi series. There's some shots in there where, Anakin does not look like, a 19 or 20-year-old. You can see that, Hayden had, his 40-plus-year-old wrinkles here and there. They could have gotten rid of that. It wasn't a huge deal, but it was just something that you do see heavily in certain shots and angles. But that brings us to a big subject today. Now, with Hayden Christensen most known for his role as Anakin Skywalker from the prequels, both John and Dave have been busy with the return of Anakin in several ways for the community. Now, most recently, Lucasfilm decided to make a very big call to replace Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker using another actor this time around, in order to bring in a different version of Anakin. Now, originally, Hayden was chosen to portray a young teen version of Anakin Skywalker through ILM's new advanced de-aging technology. However, the tech is not 100% there just yet, and Lucasfilm hence reverted those plans for Hayden to be the placement of a 13-year-old Anakin. Instead, now Lucasfilm is on the hunt for finding a young actor to play 13-year-old Anakin for a big flashback scene that will be used in a new mystery Star Wars TV show aimed for 2025. This series is set to focus on the Jedi Order in between episodes 1 and 2, and one major scene planned out by John and Dave is set to focus on an adventure between both Anakin and Obi-Wan on a distant world in the Outer Rim, fighting off creatures, and even a couple of other training sessions from Kenobi to the young version of Anakin. Now, the one thing I do want to point out is that there's a lot of things that are happening with Skywalkers, right? We have Luke really heavily being inserted into the Mandoverse. We have Anakin coming back into this Kenobi era. It all started with the Kenobi series and how that kind of kick-started a new slate of Star Wars shows to actually create a lot of material. Now, this one project in particular is set to take place in between episodes 1 and 2, showing you the middle point of Anakin that we have never seen before, alright? Now, this is a very interesting thing because they're basing this off of the Anakin and Obi-Wan comics that were released not so long ago. You guys may remember them a couple of years ago. It really dives deep into Anakin Skywalker in his early teens, and it really is going to be a refreshing moment for the franchise because, basically, Lucasfilm now wants to give us a different view of Anakin's life, a different point in his time where he's still learning through the ways of the Force, the Jedi. Kenobi is still kind of struggling with training Anakin. It's a very interesting moment in time that has never been portrayed in live action. So, moving on to the next big thing here, we already know that they are on the hunt for multiple actors as we speak. They have a couple in mind. We're not quite sure exactly who just yet, but they are said to be complete unknown young actors. Now, Lucasfilm already has 5 young actors up for the role of 13-year-old Anakin. The original plan was to de-age Hayden by decades worth and placing his head onto a young actor's body. This was actually the plan so that they can get proper dialogue from Hayden's actual voice. However, now they have found a couple of actors who sound just like Hayden did in Episode 2. Anakin's hair is also said to appear very close to how it is in Episode 3. Now, that was the main reason why they wanted Hayden to play the 13-year-old Anakin, using this advanced de-aging technology by ILM. Basically, they wanted Hayden's voice to be seamless between his older self, like as a 19-year-old, give or take, in Attack of the Clones, and of course, they wanted to really showcase how similar they could actually mimic the voice by using Hayden. That's why they wanted Hayden in the very beginning. But the ILM tech is not 100% there yet. This new tech, by the way, is able to literally transform an older actor into literally a teenager or somebody in their early 20s, give or take. It's going to be that advanced, but it's not quite there just yet. It's going to transform the film industry without a doubt. ILM is always on the cutting-edge technology side of things, and that's one thing that I like about ILM and Star Wars. Now, the thing about this, too, that I think is very crucial is Anakin as a 13-year-old is said to be a very complex point in his life. Now, if you guys have read the Kenobi and Anakin books, or the comics, I should say, you do learn a little bit more about that. But about all of this, they want to actually have a show focusing on the Jedi Order, and that's what John and Dave are brewing right now behind the scenes to get this thing out by 2025. Now, again, the Jedi Order is a very interesting side of Star Wars that we never really got to dive into, of course, the specifics, right? We passed through it many times in the prequels, for sure, but what John and Dave want to do is that they really kind of want to showcase all the dealings of the Jedi Order, everything that the Jedi go through, the Padawans, the Masters, everything. We're going to be learning a lot more about how the Jedi Order works and how it's structured from the inside out, and that really is going to be a very interesting genre. We're not quite sure what the genre is aimed to be for this new series, but it's not just about Anakin and Obi-Wan. I don't want to make anybody, misunderstand this, but that is actually catered for one specific flashback moment, or one moment in present time, technically speaking, since it does take place in between episodes 1 and 2. So, with that being said, there's a lot of revolutionary things coming out by John and Dave. They really are trying to do things that are unexpected for the fans, that's really going to stick around for decades, that's going to make you look back on it and say, wow, that's amazing. That's what they want to achieve. So, I'm really interested to see what each and every one of you guys have to say below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding on one. From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No